Okay, if you're watching this video right now, then that means you're probably wondering what's going on in the world right now. You're seeing all these news articles, posts on Instagram, memes about, World War III, US, Trump bombs Iran, Iran, Israel. I thought Israel were at war with, Palestine and sending bombs into the Gaza Strip. I thought that was a genocide, but then now they're fighting Iran. They're throwing missiles back at each other. But this time you're not seeing any pictures of, dead babies. This seems to be a different operation. All these sort of things are probably going through your head right now. And I know if you're in the UK, you're probably looking at it thinking, well, what does this mean for me? Because I haven't heard the UK get brought up, but I heard all this talk about World War III and Russia and Ukraine. Well, why isn't that World War III? Why is this World War III? And I'm going to explain all of that. And I'm going to really just I'm not going to try and tell you how to think, because I don't think that's fair. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you and explain to you the timeline of events that led to what's going on now. And I'm going to put it to you from a UK perspective as well as the US perspective. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about how this all started. Okay, why did 1 week ago Israel decide to just start sending bombs and targeting all these military sites in Iran? Okay, well, that actually goes back quite a long time. Okay, so first of all, I don't know if you know what's going on in terms of Israel and Palestine. Okay, so they talk about October 7th. I'm sure you've heard of that term. You have October 7th. That was when, a load of people from Palestine, but really they were funded by Iran, a group called Hamas. They came in through the Israeli and Palestine, borderline. They came through. They killed a load of people at a music festival, really just like teenagers and stuff, having a good time. And then Israel then responded by just, hammering hard on Palestine and killing a lot of people, a lot of destruction, a lot of buildings. But the reason I say Hamas and not the people of, Palestine is because really they're two different things. Okay, so the people of Hamas, they are technically a group, okay, and really we could describe them in the political game as a proxy. Okay, so what a proxy is a group or person acting on behalf of somebody else. And Hamas are a proxy that are operating on behalf of Iran. Okay, so you also have a group called Hezbollah. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's kind of complicated. You don't need to get too much into it. All you need to know is that they are in Lebanon. And if you don't know, sort of where these places are, so Israel and Gaza are obviously on the same piece of land, right? There's literally a border. I guess you could say it's made up, as all are, but people really don't like the way that this piece of land, this holy land, right? You're talking about Jerusalem, Bethlehem, all these sorts of things. It's divided. And what you have is a country called Lebanon above Israel, okay? So from the Israel, and Iran is quite far away, but what you have is essentially Hamas in Palestine, and what you have is Hezbollah in Lebanon, okay? So from Israel's perspective, they have two groups funded by Iran, proxies, okay? Two proxy groups, one above and one to the left, okay? Coming at them and targeting them. They're having these back and forth conflicts, bombs, all of these sort of things. And essentially, Israel is saying, you know what? You guys are being sent by the big guy, Iran, right? We're going to go after them. Now, why does that mean the US gets involved? Well, it's because there has been some talk over the years, right, by Israel saying, okay, these guys are close. They're getting nuclear weapons, okay? They're getting nuclear weapons, and if they get nuclear weapons, they can't be trusted. I know the US, UK, Pakistan, Russia, Israel as well, they all have nuclear weapons, but if Iran has them, they're going to use them, okay? Their argument is essentially that the way Russia and Ukraine are at war right now, Russia is not using the nuclear weapons. Okay, they're not. They're just, using men, boots on the ground, guns, airstrikes, missiles, all these sort of things. They're basically saying, Iran, don't do that. If Iran go to war, they're going to launch a nuke, and if they launch a nuke, it's going to be nuclear Armageddon. We're going to get blown up. You guys are going to get blown up. It's going to be the end of the world. Now, the issue with that is that Israel, and specifically Benjamin Netanyahu, has been saying this for a very long time. Okay, so I'm going to play you this video right now. This is a video of Benjamin Netanyahu, obviously, who's the current Prime Minister of Israel. This is him in 1996 saying that Iran is close to developing a nuclear weapon. Okay, so here's this video.
Is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way,
Again in
is
2002.
also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years. By next
2012.
spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. The foremost sponsor of global terrorism.
2015, guys. He's been saying this for a long, long time.
For an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons that would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material
2015. He's still saying this.
Nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
And this was him 10 days ago. So, you're probably thinking, okay, well, why would we believe this guy? I mean, this guy's a liar. He's been saying it. Now, all you need to know is that at the exact same time that he's been going on about this nuclear weapon, right? Remember, it started 1996 all the way until now, basically, 2025. We had the war in Iraq, okay? The war in Iraq, and that was, as everyone who sort of knows about wars and everything, if you're young and you probably don't know that much about it, but the reason that war was, started basically by George W. Bush, President of the United States at the time, was because of the 9/11 attack, right? September the 11th, the attack on the Trade Center, and then we were led to believe, although I say we, I was a little kid, right? I was literally a baby, right? But we were led to believe that there was weapons of mass destruction, translation, nuclear weapon, in the Middle East, and we had to go in there and fight, and Britain, America, whatnot, all going in. By the way, that wasn't considered World War III. That wasn't considered World War III. No one said that was World War III. So keep that in mind as I later on, when I get to why you probably shouldn't be as worried about World War III as maybe the news is making out. Okay, but essentially, that war was for nothing, really, because there was no nuclear weapon, right? Iraq, no nuclear weapon, none of that. It was bullshit. Okay, and then you find out that 9/11 was because of Osama bin Laden, and then he wasn't even there. He was hiding in Pakistan, right? So you kind of have to look back at history and say, well, the Israelis aren't exactly to be trusted when it comes to nukes. These guys have nukes. They're so close. They're 1 week away. Yeah, well, it's been 20 years or 19 years, and you're still banging on about it, and it's still not happened. But here's where I want to take you back to President Trump, okay? Because here's Trump in, and I know that, by the way, I know this is probably a little bit tricky, and you're trying to wrap your head around it, but just slow down, go back and rewatch this if you need to. Go rewatch the last 5 minutes, right? You can, if you go back just a sec and really think about what I'm saying and the reason I'm telling you in this timeline, right? So let's quickly go back to what I've covered so far. So you've got Iran funding these proxy groups, right? Working out of Hamas, which is in Palestine, which is why there's a war in Gaza right now, or should I say destruction in Gaza right now. Then you have Hezbollah, right, which is going on in Lebanon. There's also another group working out of Yemen, the Houthis, but not really important right now. But just to go back, I don't know if you remember, right, when goods started going up in prices maybe 2 years ago, a little bit, just for a short amount of time, UK and USA were launching missiles striking the Yemenis Houthis because they were intercepting cargo ships going through the Red Sea coming out of China. And again, It's not a big deal, but the Houthis are a proxy group funded by Iran. Okay, so essentially what's happening is all of these little groups, all of these sort of terrorist organizations that have been bothering Israel, bothering the West, mainly Israel, by the way, they're all coming from Iran. Okay, and just to go back to President Trump's view of Iran, just so you guys know that he isn't working for Israel or anything like that, because guys, you are going to see, and you've probably already seen it, a lot of people saying Israel owns Trump. Trump must be on the Epstein list because he's a pedophile and that's why he's going to war on behalf of Israel. Not true. Okay, this is a post from 2011. Okay, by Donald Trump. Iran's quest for nuclear weapons is a major threat to our nation's national security interests. We can't allow Iran to go nuclear. And then you have this video here. Okay, so this is when Trump is running for re-election, okay, in 2024, and he's essentially saying to Dr. Phil, I don't know if you guys know Dr. Phil, he's talking about how, under him, right, when he was president before, he basically cut off Iran's ability to make money. Okay, because if you cut off Iran's ability to make money, well, then they can't fund Hamas, they can't fund Hezbollah, they can't fund the Houthis. Like, he's essentially saying, I know that what they've been doing, I know what they are like. They fund these terrorist organizations, right? These proxy groups all over the Middle East to try and, just cause havoc, right? And he's saying, I didn't go to war with them, but I made sure they were broke. Okay? Again, I just want to make this clear because it's important that you guys know Trump's position on Iran. Okay? So this was 2 years ago.
Iran was broke. I said, anybody buys from Iran, you can't do business with the U.S. Iran was broke. They were down to almost no money. They had no money to fund Hamas or Hezbollah. They had no money. They were broke. They would have made a deal within a week after the election. That result was very dangerous for our country. But we did great things, and I think that's what people see. People want to go back to where we were.
Okay, and then quickly, just one more right here. This is really when, this is probably, October last year. So this is less than a year ago. He's talking about Iran again, just quickly.
Running around.
What's going to happen to Iran with you by the end of your administration?
I'm not asking. I would like to see Iran be very successful. The only thing is they can't have a nuclear weapon.
Are you okay with the same administration and way of governing stays, or would you like to see it go back to the 70s when Shah's was running it and Iran was one of the top 3 countries in tourism?
We can't get totally involved in all. We can't run ourselves. Let's face it.
Sure.
Patrick, we can't run ourselves.
You put sanctions, the people are going to turn and flip on them.
Okay, so there's that. Just trying to give you a view, saying he's basically saying, look, for the last 15 years, Trump's been saying Iran, 2 things. One, they can't get a nuclear weapon, and also they can't keep funding these proxy groups. Like, Iran with money just seems to be dangerous for everybody, and he's saying, I don't stand for that. Okay, now let's go to what's happened recently, right? So we know Israel, they've had their issue with Iran for a long time. Just ignore them, okay? They're basically irrelevant for now. This is a video of Trump. This was literally 7 days ago, right? So this is when Israel started firing Iran the other day. They decided, you know what, screw this. We're done with Palestine. We're done shooting in the Hezbollah in Lebanon. We're just going to go straight to Iran. Trump's talking about how that could have been avoided, right? This really could have been avoided. He's saying, and I'll play you the clip, but he's basically talking about how he put a deal on the table to Iran saying, look, give up your nuclear weapons program. Just completely stop. Don't worry about it. Stop enriching uranium, all right? You've got uranium enriched at 60%. You don't need it to be that much. Once you get to 90%, that means you can use it for weapons if you have the right other, chemicals and ingredients. I don't know the full ins and outs. But he's basically saying, look, we know what you're trying to do. Stop. Okay? And he's saying, I'm going to give you 60 days. 60 days. This is him talking about it himself.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah,
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
they'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
As you mentioned.
Okay, so he says I don't want to talk about it, but essentially what he's saying, guys, is like, I gave Iran 60 days, right? That's basically 2 months, okay? Saying, look, let's talk. Let's just sign a deal. We don't have to, no rockets being launched, no missiles, no gun, no bloodshed, none of that, okay? No destruction. Let's just sign a deal. Iran didn't do it. On the 61st day, Trump gave the green light to Israel, saying, okay, look, you can take care of it then. You can take care of it. Now, Israel are doing their thing. They actually did very, very well against Iran, destroying so many military bases and everything like that, and, some sort of nuclear sites. But essentially, they said, look, we need the USA, okay, to help out, because we don't have the power, we don't have the muscle, and we don't have the weaponry, right? Military capabilities to take out the big sites, right? There was these 3 big sites, and he's basically saying, look, Israel saying, we can't take it out, we need the US. Now, this gives the US a bit of leverage, right? So they can say to Iran, look, and you just heard it yourself in that video there, saying, look, you guys have been going to war, you and Israel are going back and forth, you're not even winning this war, just sign a deal now. It's not too late, let's keep going, okay? He put many, many tweets out saying, Iran can't have nuclear weapons. Iran should sign the deal. They said right here, look, I got right here. This is actually this is still 7 days ago. Iran should have signed the deal. I told them to sign. What a shame. Waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. Now, what that is I believe it's the capital of Iran, or at least a major city. He's basically saying, look, now there's a war going. Citizens, you guys aren't involved. It's your regime, it's your government. You guys protect yourself because it's going to go down. Okay? And, that was probably the first indication. People start saying, okay, well, are US going to get involved? What's going on here? This is not what I voted for. I didn't like this. Now, if you voted for Trump and you didn't know that he was going to go, he wasn't taking any half measures with Iran. He was going to do whatever it took to, to make sure Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon. I just showed you a couple videos and a couple posts. Again, the tweet, 2011, he's been talking about Iran. Okay? On his whole campaign trail. Even I actually went to basically a Trump speech or whatever, and he even mentioned Iran then. This guy is obsessed with Iran. So if you voted for Trump and you're surprised that he doesn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, then you're an idiot for not paying attention to anything he said. Okay? But we are where we are today. Okay? Which is right here. The US said, Iran, you have 2 weeks. I'm not going to make a decision. Okay, Trump came out. Everyone was anticipating that they're going to strike. Are they not going to strike? There's debates going on. Piers Morgan, Dave Smith, whoever. A load of people from all different sides, whether they love Trump, hate Trump, it doesn't matter. They're all debating ideas. People who loved Trump 2 weeks ago, right? Hand in hand, singing Kumbaya, now going at each other. I hate you, this and that. You're a war pig. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a terrorist sympathizer. Going at it. Okay, so he tweeted this out, right? As he's building up the tension, he tweets this out. He says, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out. Brackets, kill, at least for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Okay? Then he says, I'm gonna wait 2 weeks to make my decision. right? Which makes Iran say, okay, maybe we can negotiate this and that. There's talk of, negotiations behind the scenes, but Trump saying they're not talking, Iran saying we're not talking, and everyone's thinking, okay, 2 weeks, maybe something will get sorted out. If not, at the end of the 2 weeks, maybe Trump will have to, send a few missiles into Iran. 1 day later, okay, 1 day later, Trump releases this, okay? And this is just incredible. We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. Sorry, my Iranian, come on now. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Right? So this is him telling you and telling us about the attack that you are seeing everywhere. Okay? This is the World War III beginning, all of this. Do I think it's World War III? No. Right? No. But I understand where some people might be coming from or whatever, but this is a quick video that I think you need to see, because you need to understand what the attack was and why it's, even though it is them basically taking, US into war, it's almost the opposite of that, because of how good the attack was. Okay, let me show you this video real quick, just so you can break it down. 40 seconds. This is Fox News giving you the ins and outs of this strike.
It's 14 total bombs under total stealth. Not a single shot fired, says Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Dan Kane, saying that no missiles were launched, no shots fired at our mission, no Iranian planes got airborne. They simply didn't see it. I want to bring back the special report anchor and our executive editor, Bret Baier. Bret, it's remarkable, these details, to learn that we literally got in and out without really being detected, hit all targets. It just strikes you at really the dominance. We heard from Secretary Hegseth, the unmatched capability of the American military, but boy, you really got to see it here, and likely sending a message to those that would do us harm.
Okay, so let me just break that down for you, right? Because it's important that you understand this, because this is why, this is where you, if you're worried about World War III, this is why you probably shouldn't be worried, okay? So essentially what happened was the USA sent a few planes, right, from Missouri, okay, Missouri, all the way to Iran, completely undetected by anybody. Do you understand? Completely undetected. Not by the countries they were flying over, and not even by Iran. Came in, dropped 30 tons, right, of some heavy explosives onto the nuclear sites. They called them bunker bombs, essentially saying that they're so powerful that if you're in a bunker, if you're underground, deep underground, these have the capability to actually go straight through the earth and explode deep underground, right? Which is where Iran has these, nuclear sites or whatever. And again, Trump, the timing of this post from Trump is so important, because it's after it's done. He's saying they're out of Iran. It's done. It's happened. There's nothing you can do about it. Not, I'm going to send these, planes in. I'm not doing anything. It's done. I'm just letting you guys know that was us, right? And if you see what the Fox News guys are saying, right? This is word from the Pentagon or whatever. They're saying Iran didn't even know it was happening at all, right? Now you may be thinking, well, if it was a sneak attack, well, isn't that a given? It's like, well, no, think about it, right? Think about you on a plane, right? Planes don't just come into countries undetected. We have sensors, radars, right? We like satellite. The technology that the countries have, and by the way, just because Iran is a country in the Middle East and it's a country that you never think of going to, that doesn't mean that this is a country of idiots. This doesn't mean that these guys don't have sophisticated technology. Like, they do. Okay? And when Trump put on his post, no other military in the world could do that, what he's basically saying is, hey, Russia, you don't have that capabilities. China, you don't have that capabilities. I'm from the UK, we don't have that capability. I'm telling you guys, and if you're a British guy, Royal Air Force, all of this sort of stuff. The British Army is still pretty good, right? And we have incredible technology, but we don't even have the stealth ability, right, to fly all the way to Iran, bomb them, and get out undetected. And the reason I say that is probably, even though it seems like, that's an act of war and taking US into war, but what that was also doing, let me put it more clear. It's like me starting a fight, right, by doing some crazy UFC Mighty Mouse, pick you up, throw you in the air, and get you in a fucking choke on the way down. Do you understand? It's like you're almost displaying such power, dominance, and skill and intelligence that Iran and anyone else who's thinking of helping Iran is probably thinking, wow, well, if they can do that, then Jesus, what can they do to us? What else have they got in their locker? If they can do that, like, sneakily, imagine what they can do in your face, And you need to understand, Iran, if they do anything to US troops or whatever, then they're going to get hit even harder. Trump said many times, I'm not going to go and get the tweets up, he said many times after that in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, if Iran react or retaliate, right, they will be met with even bigger consequences. And the US is saying now, okay, we're done. That's it. We don't want war. We don't want to go after any of your people. We don't even want to go after your actual military bases. Because remember, this is like a nuclear base. This is like a secret nuclear site. This isn't like just some army base in Iran. Okay, this is like he's saying, that's it, we're done. You didn't want to do the deal, so we had to destroy it ourselves. Now, Israel are probably still going to go to war with you guys, and you guys are probably still going to go back and forth, but that's it. If you've got hard feelings, you want to take it further, you can take it further. If not, you can still come, sign some sort of deal where you guys say, okay, you beat us, that's it, surrender, and then you can start talking about economy, opening up economy, these sort of things. So now let's talk about quickly the reason you clicked on this video. But I hope you understand, I know it's taken a long time for me to get to this point, but I need to give you a detailed description of what's happened and why it's happened, so that you understand that this isn't just some crazy takeover, Hitler taking over the world kind of thing. This isn't that, all right? But if you're in the UK, as I am, right, and you're seeing a load of memes on Instagram, a load of reels, a load of posts, World War III, I'm not getting drafted, all of these sort of things, ignore it. Ignore it. That is merely people trying to scare you and get likes and clicks through, being the first people to jump on the reel and the meme situation, right? The UK have nothing to worry about, all right? For a couple of reasons. Number one, we weren't involved and we're not involved anyway. So it doesn't really matter. It literally doesn't matter. Like, we're not bombing them and they're not bombing us, okay? Number two, even if the US got more involved and it became this big thing, well, big, compared to anything that's been really going on in the last 10 years, that still doesn't mean that we would get involved. Even if we started sending, weapons and stuff, like, that doesn't mean it's going to get bigger. Think about it. Ukraine and Russia are at war. Russia is way more powerful than Iran. Russia has nukes already. Loads of them. More than any other country on the planet. Okay? And that's not World War III. And we're sending them money. We're sending Ukraine money. We're sending them weapons. if you've broken down my videos before, or watched my videos before, you'll know that UK has talked about debating sending boots on the ground, these sort of things. Like, if that's not World War III, then this definitely won't be. Okay, and again, US, even if, let's just say that they said we need help, we can't handle it, which wouldn't happen, but let's just say they did. They have NATO, right, which includes the UK, right? But that alone, again, the whole idea of NATO is almost to say, hey, you don't want this smoke. Because not only are you dealing with, US could take on most places on their own, but with basically the whole of Europe, with UK, France, Germany. Do you understand what I'm getting? Like, it's not worth it for any country to get in because they would just get absolutely obliterated. If they took it that far, Iran would look like Gaza quickly and easily. And remember, Iran don't have the backup that US do. Even though, by the way, US could beat Iran's backup, but that's irrelevant, right? Iran, yeah, they're close with Russia, but you think Russia's going to get involved? Because if Russia gets involved, then NATO gets involved, then you're basically splitting the West from the East, and that's not good for Russia. Remember, and you got to think, Putin's in his 70s. He's already at war in Ukraine. He hasn't even won that yet. He wants to be in 2 wars? If he loses, Russia's done. Really done. Okay, Russia's plan, even though they like Iran and they back Iran, they're close, but they're not going to go fight wars for them. Of course not. China's not going to do that. Again, China, they like Iran, they're friends, they're close, they're allies maybe, but they're not bound by any sort of treaty or allied signature. Like, again, if US got into a war, they could trigger, I think it's clause 5 or clause 9. It doesn't really matter, but they can activate clause within NATO and get the rest of Europe on their side. Iran can't do that, right? They're more of a word of mouth, this, that. Hey, it's more of, I know this guy. Oh, I know this guy and he's tough, right? So don't start on me. I know Russia, I know China. US or UK or any of the NATO countries is like, yo, you do realize if you start on me, these guys are all coming 100%. So you have to look at it that way. I know it's a little bit complicated. You're talking about NATO and ties and relationships, but if you're in the UK, put it this way, you're not going to be missing a day's work because of this. All right? Your rent will be due and there'll be no excuses of why it can't be paid. Do you understand? Like, petrol might go up, maybe, but that's about it. And that's just to do with the oil, and it's not really important. And again, guys, you're probably thinking about like the other countries in the Middle East, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, right? These sort of countries. Guys, they're not as close to Iran as you think. Okay, Saudi and Iran, this is the thing that you forget, and I think it's easy to lump all of the Muslim countries together, but Saudi Arabia and Iran are basically enemies. They don't like each other. They're close and they have to be civil to a degree, and it's just the way things are when you're so close to a country. You have to kind of be civil. They're not at war, but they don't like each other. Right? Saudi Arabia haven't even said that what US did was bad. Now, they're calling for de-escalation, but remember, just a month ago or something like that, Saudi Arabia and Trump was in Saudi, laughing, joking, clapping, giving speeches, taking billions, if not trillions of dollars from Saudi Arabia who were investing into the United States. Same with Qatar, okay? So, in the Middle East, Iran is basically on its own. And globally, it's kind of on its own anyway. So don't be scared about World War III. Don't believe everything you hear. Don't take my word for it, right? Just look at the evidence I've shown you. Okay? And yeah, that's all there is to it, really. Yeah, that's basically it. Look, guys, Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you're going to get more nervous, maybe you're going to see some news articles over the next couple of weeks. If you are from the UK and you do not see actual proof, not talk about proof, video evidence, footage, confirmation of UK, right, sending men to the Middle East, then it's not World War III and you have nothing to worry about. Okay? Truly. All right? Look, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. Till next time.